Welcome back to She Can, where women lead with their stories to be mentors and role models for others, because it's so much easier to be what you can see. I'm very excited to introduce Vivian Eni today. Vivian, welcome to She Can. You are the founder of the incredible Everyday Woman
I
community.
am.
community. And you're also the author of your first book, How to Build a Corporate Career, Lessons from a First-Generation Migrant. And you have 2 decades of experience in HR and leadership roles in diverse sectors. And so all of that insight and knowledge and your experiences have flown into this book. Vivian, tell us a little bit more about your journey, the pivotal points that led you to where you are today.
Wow. First, thank you so much, She Can community, for having me. I feel incredibly honored to be on this side. As Stephanie already mentioned, I'm the founder of Incredible Everyday Woman. When I thought of dressing up today, I thought, why not wear my t-shirt? So it's interesting that I'm on the other side of being interviewed.
I know.
So
You are
where did you
you
get this from?
you're usually doing the interviewing.
I am indeed. I'm usually on the other side. So where did it all start from for me? I think my background is definitely my parents. Kudos to my both parents, who wanted me to be the best that I can be, the top of whatever. I think when you come from a typical Nigerian culture, there is prestige attached to the world of work. So as a
Mm.
young child, the expectation was because I was smart, or what you call a genius kid now in the UK. Being raised in Nigeria, my parents thought in their generation you had to have a career that brings prestige, but also so that they don't have to look after you in your older age. So the ask of me was to become a medical doctor, which if you read my book, you figure out that I'm a HR practitioner, which is far field. But that was because at the age of 14 plus, I was in university. So imagine such a young kid in university. She's got to have brain cells. She's got to be really smart. But I didn't like medicine. And I think being stubborn worked in my favor because I was super smart. I'm a stubborn kid. I kind of know what makes me happy. So one of my driving force is my values. My values is joy. I have to enjoy everything I do. So if I'm not enjoying it, I'm quickly asking myself, what is this about? Do we have to do this? And despite coming from a home where it was ingrained in me that education is important and work is one of the things that you do to carry on with life, I also knew that if this is something I'm going to do for a long time, I better start enjoying it. And that's why I didn't study medicine. I have a first degree in microbiology. And then the long story short is in my book, I then transitioned to have a master's in HR. And in almost 2 decades now, I've been living in the UK. I came in here to do my master's degree. And as they say, life happened and I'm still here almost 20 years.
Vivian, and we love that story. And you have really authentically and vulnerably owned your story, written it down to guide and support others, which is exactly what we do at She Can, right? So tell us a little bit more about the incredible everyday woman. What do you do with it? What and how did it come that you thought I actually need to write this book?
Whew. So Incredible Everyday Woman, Stephanie, was a project off the back of lockdown. I was starting at the beginning of this season in my life where I'm thinking of meaning. And for me, meaning is legacy. So coming up to thinking about that, one of the questions I asked myself was, what do I want to be remembered for? And how Incredible Everyday Woman concept before it became a movement, and now we're talking about it, started as a result of me. Again, I'm trying to solve a problem for everybody else that has experienced something that I've experienced or will experience it, because my goal in life is be better. So I want anybody who encounters me to have a better life because I shared. So Incredible Everyday Woman comes from me wanting to create a platform to get 1,000 women, and I know She Can, you're almost there. I'm still on my way. 1,000 ordinary everyday women to tell their story so that we can create a community where we redefine what success is in the society. Now, I am a big fan of the celebrities and the people who have made huge marks in the society today. Well, best believe there's somebody who is doing a fantastic job and who's feeling fulfilled in their little corner. But the way the media and the society works is never going to celebrate that person. So, for instance, the woman who got my hair done, my hairdresser, who from the day she was a kid just knew she always wanted to be a hairdresser, she's an incredible everyday woman. The person who decides that they want to be a stay-at-home mom, the woman who decides that actually she wants to be an Uber driver, she doesn't want to pursue a corporate career, that's also fine. So I set out to create a platform to help women and girls realize that is also fine. But it's interesting, when I started out, first having the conversation with people and saying this is coming from my problem statement, which was, I realized that in as much as you encounter me and you believe that Vivian is very confident, I wasn't exactly always confident. I, at some point, realized I was a bit of a chameleon. What that means is if I sit around an American with an American accent for 5 minutes, Stephanie, I walk away speaking with that accent. It's not something I sit down and say, oh, I want to copy this person. I just keep picking from different people and evolving. And one day I sat to myself and I said, Viv, if you keep picking left, right, and center, it's all good. You're evolving. But you're going to get to the end of your life and there's probably not going to be a piece of you. And that was a stop moment for me. And I said, who am I and who do I want to become? And I started off by saying, oh, I think I'm weird, just to make everybody else feel comfortable. And one day I woke up and I said, I like my kind of weird. I'm not a square peg in everybody's round hole or square hole. I think I'm just going to own me. I'm going to own my laughter, my joy when I want to be quiet. At first, I thought I was an introvert and then I became an ambivert. I want to own my journey. And the more I shared it with women in my network, I started hearing this, oh, okay, that's very brave. And I was like, you struggle with that too? You struggle with that too? Why don't we create a platform so that I can get you to celebrate your story? Because somebody else might listen to you who wants to be exactly like you and nothing more. And to your point about she can, when people see it, they can believe it.
Yeah. It could not be more aligned with us, Vivian, and everything you've said is speaking from my heart and is the sole reason why She Can is around. We want to celebrate every woman's story, actually every person leading with their story, right? It's a decision to tell your story. And because the personal is also so universal, it ticks so many boxes, because by telling your own story, you take ownership, you take responsibility, you choose the words you use. We have the chance to offload experiences, right? Challenging experiences that we can reframe to support and guide others. All of that is real magic. And you're doing it and we're doing it. And I'm so proud of that. And I'm so excited what you said. Yes, we love every person or every woman in the world leading with their stories. And we love when celebrities do it well. But we need to celebrate all the stories, because the millions and millions and billions of girls out there need to be able to see all of the stories, because they might not resonate with the ones of, well-known names necessarily. And also the divide is so large that I think we need stepping stones, and we need to hear all the stories to then be brave enough to think, okay, well, I can do that. I can get there. And so, Vivian, tell us a little bit more about your book and the insights you put into it, and what you learned from that experience of writing the book.
So, How to Build a Corporate Career, Lessons from a First-Generation Migrant is my first of 3 books. I say that bravely because I finally published the first one. I wasn't born or raised in the UK. Neither was there anybody of color that I knew within my immediate network or extended network that was studying or working in HR. So I set out, moved countries, had a master's degree, chose to build a career in an unknown land, so to speak. So that's where my career started from. And then as I progressed in my career, people come into the offices where I work in, and people of color especially would walk up to me and say, oh, you're like one of them. You're one of them. I'm like, one of who? And they go, one of the people that we look at and go, oh, these ones want to be here. Again, my ethos, my value is joy. So if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, best believe I'm finding an alternative. that's how I built my career. And the more people started to ask me, how did you do it? Like, what is it? In this corporate career, is it for me? Is it because I wasn't raised here? What are your struggles? I thought in the last 2 years or 4 years, actually, I've been talking to people within the ethnic minority community here in the UK, in person and virtual. And I got to a point, Stephanie, and I said, I can't talk to everybody. So why don't I put in the book?
Yeah.
That I don't want to take credit for, like, I woke up one day and said it was a book. Someone sussed me out on social media, and we were supposed to be having a conversation about my financial investments and how my portfolio is doing. And off the back of that conversation, he looks at me and goes, can you help the Black community? And I was like, with what? And he goes, with everything you're doing in the corporate world. Can you write an ebook or an article? I'm like, book, not me. I'm dyslexic. I don't write books. I can talk, I can't write. So that was the journey that began from article looking, bullet point looking, eventually a book. And it took me 16 months to publish. Partly because I still have a full-time job. I am dyslexic. It was painful putting my thoughts to paper. A number of times I wanted to give up. And what's in my book is really the basics that nobody tells you. You read my book, you read my journey, you would laugh a lot. The feedback I've been getting, people are like, I feel like you're in my ear. You should make an audiobook, because I talk to you about your why. Why do you want to build what you want to build? Because a lot of people will get jobs. A job and a career are two different things. You get a job, it pays the bills. But a career is a lifelong journey that you build, that you are invested in, and you give your all to, and it produces something back for you. So I start with the beginning to say, what's your why? And then I go on to talk about what's your unique selling proposition? What is it that Stephanie does so uniquely that if Stephanie wasn't there, it wouldn't be done as good as you would, so that you can bring that to the workplace. And then I talk to people about interviews. I talk to people about CVs. And then at the end of this book, I say to you, congratulations, because I kind of walked you through from the basics through to getting your first job in that career you want to build. And I also know that because I'm also a trained coach, at the end of each chapter, I ask the readers to put the book down. And I ask them to take a pen and paper, and I ask questions, because I want you to build a story that is tailored to you so that it would last. And if my journey doesn't inspire you, if the coaching questions don't inspire you, at the back of the book, you will have other professionals who also share their journeys to building a corporate career. So hopefully, through these three angles, people are able to find their way that would work for them in building a corporate career.
Vivian, so tell us a bit more about the challenges that you faced or face in the daily or with the book as a first-generation migrant. And how do you reframe them, or how did you reframe them?
One of them was actually writing, the base thing, because I'm dyslexic, and one of the challenges, my brain and my hands say two different things. So I wrote 4 versions of this book to get to it, until I realized there was something called an editor who could actually make it readable for other people. So that was the first challenge. The second challenge was time. I have quite a full-on life. I am a girl's girl. I have my girlfriends. I have my community. I have my family. I have all sorts of things going on, and having to prioritize writing a book, which means you have to pull back from everyone to focus. That was hard. And that brings me to the third point, Stephanie. I'm not very patient. This book to me feels like I've given birth to a child. Like, I waited through it. I'm not patient. It's not my thing. I'm a quick, get it done, move on. But this book humbled me in so many ways. And it taught me a lot about myself. It's given me, since the publishing, it's given me back so much that I gave into it, because now I have platforms for conversations. The amount of book tours I've had since this publishing has been enormous. What are the challenges I have? This is the biggest and the most sensitive one. The test of my professional integrity. Because now I'm coming out as an author and I'm making a statement that scared the life out of me. I remember finishing the manuscript, and I'm a Christian, so I referenced God, and I said to God, we've done it now. Can I put it under my bed? Because who am I to actually say I published the book? I never knew this thing called imposter syndrome was a thing that happened to me, because I'm super confident, but it did. I called one of my friends up one day and I was in tears and she was like, is everything okay? Is mommy okay? Is work okay? Is life okay? And I said yes. And she goes, so what's going on? And I was like, I'm going to be called an author. Like, I don't have such authority. And she let me cry. And when I finished, she said, darling, anyone who writes a book is an author. It's like you get married and you're a missus. You don't have a choice about it. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was looking for where to hide. That's one bit. The other part, another part that really was a journey for me was I have a full-time job and I'm full on in my work. So having to express to my colleagues that I wrote a book and all of them going, when did you do this? Because we know you and we live and work with you. So how did you do it? And then the final part of being a first-generation migrant, it's sometimes you have to be first.
Mm.
Sometimes there doesn't need to be someone who's done it before. And that is a two-edged sword. You have a ton of people who are proud of you because thank you for doing what you're doing, because at least somebody's speaking. And then there is I don't know anyone else who's done it. So every time I met an author, once I knew I was going to publish, I bought their book, I spoke to them, I had to learn on my own because I self-published on purpose. And that was hard. I'm still learning as we speak. Even when I got the feedback from people that they want the audio version of the book because they love the stories and they want me in their ears, I'm still researching. But I'm grateful that I got help. I got a team around me to help me make it happen. So yeah, those were some of the challenges.
Vivian, you're such a role model because you've done so many things for the first time, right? So give us some top tips for younger girls that are listening, that are in a position, they might have come from anywhere in the world, they live in a country that isn't theirs. What are your top tips to sort of find what matters to you and how you want to matter in the world?
Thank you. That's a very unique question that I was hoping I get asked today. Find your why. So you're listening or you're watching me, you're wondering, I'm so inspired by Vivian. The only reason you're inspired by me is because I know my why. So I'm going to put it back to you. What is your why? The how is in the doing, but you need to know your why. Your why is something that keeps you awake at night. Your why is something that, I'll give you an example of how I found my why. Whenever somebody told me they couldn't do a thing, for example, start a career in corporate, I was like, let's talk. Why is that impossible? And I helped them piece it down. It wasn't something I needed to prep for. It was just something I did instinctively. So what is that thing that you do instinctively? It doesn't matter whether you're in your home country or a country that you're trying to figure out the immigration rules. Your why still serves a purpose and humanity needs it. Another top tip from my perspective is find your community. You are going to need people to cheer you up, your cheerleaders along the way, because I almost gave up so many times. But because I shared it with certain people who believed in me, and they know I'm always coming up with something that I'm passionate about, but they never dim my light. And those are the people, like one of my friends, Kathy, that I went to and I said, okay, so I want to start this other thing. And she let me ramble on. And by the time I finished, she said, finish the book. Because when you finish the book, it gives you a platform to do X, Y, and Z. You need the community of people, men, women, strangers, anybody that buys into you, hold on to them.
Yeah.
And the third one, enjoy the journey. What's the point of giving back if you end up feeling empty? Enjoy the journey because every step of the way is going to give you something. And you need to stop at every step of the way and enjoy that something. Like putting on Incredible Everyday Woman t-shirt today, knowing that we're in conversations to finish season 1. So we're coming back in January where we're going to start sharing the stories. I paused and I smiled. That's me celebrating to say Incredible Everyday Woman is a movement and I'm being recognized, giving the platform for Ashika to have this conversation. Pause and enjoy the journey because it's going to be long. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Nobody that has made impact had it easy. And my final point, stay dogged. Have your focus and don't let anything distract you because the world needs what you have.
Vivian, I love it. I have chills because it's so inspiring. Vivian, and this is exactly how I feel. You know, it can be overwhelming doing something that no one else has done before, but at the same time, it fuels you, right? Every single conversation is fuel. And I love that. And it propels myself forward. But because the personal is also so universal, it also propels so many other people forward. And now that we've gone past 1 million listeners, I'm super proud. And I think this is needed, and this impact, the impact, I can feel it now, and it's very exciting, and this is palpable when you speak. Exactly the same for you, Vivian. So, um, tell us a little bit about your leadership. You're a clear leader. Tell us a little bit what kind of a leader you are, and how you want to lead going forwards.
Thank you. I'm not one to hang on to labels that flies around in the world, but I lead from the heart. I'm a feeler, and I care more about how I leave people feeling than the work. I say to people, anybody can do the work, but do our values align? If our values align, then we can train you. So I'm one person that wants to leave everybody feeling better. But also, one thing I've learned in building both Incredible Everyday Woman team and also my book launch team is I play to people's strengths. So when I have interviews, when I'm trying to get people on the team, I'm constantly looking for what is it that you're so good at that only you can do. And when I bring my team together, they will attest to this. I am strength based. I'm constantly focusing on your strength, because if we sharpen your strength to the best that it can be, imagine just having everybody being their best. A, they want to get the job done. B, they're going to keep flourishing because it's their strength. And C, they'll keep developing their strengths. So I'm very focused on strengths. I'm very value based, and I lead from the heart.
Vivian, so what are your plans and goals for 2025?
So first up is Incredible Everyday Woman season 1 is coming up. So we started season 1 in 2021, and it was painful to put it on hold for this long, but we've got 5 stories that we're going to start reading out. So if you go on any of our socials or our website, from the 7th of January, you start to see snippets. So that's one for 2025, for the first half of 2025. My book is going to take a life of its own. So I've been having speaking engagements, and I'm hoping to get some more, because I just enjoy having to share my journey and have interactions off the back of my book. On a personal note, more traveling and more balance. Just finding the balance and just constantly honing into what makes me stick, which is my faith, my family, my community.
I love it, Vivian. And so, what would you like our listeners to take away from your story?
Resilience, my darling. Resilience is key. People throw the word self-care around a lot. You need to figure out what self-care means for you, and hold on to it. Have dreams, because your dreams are valid. All of our dreams are valid. Imagine if we all fulfilled our dream. How do you think the world would be? That's the question I'll leave you with.
I love it. Vivian, thank you so much for being such an amazing mentor and role model, for all the insights and tips you gave our listeners today. And we will be talking to you again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate your time.